If you could know the experience of intimate oneness, what it truly means to be one and to have each other's back, it would be far more precious to you than any independent pursuit.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding ours, and our greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Welcome to A Better Us, and welcome to our home.
Well, in today's show, we're talking about spiders.
Ooh, not my favorite subject.
Sorry, hon, but we're going there because best-selling author Gary Thomas says that every marriage has spiders and they need to be killed.
Okay, the killing part I'm good with, as long as you're doing it.
Actually, hon, it's something that we both need to do, but we'll let him explain that.
It's a good idea. And then marriage teachers Dave and Ashley Willis will be wading into some pretty choppy waters around the often misunderstood concept of submission in marriage. Exactly what does that mean?
And as usual, chiming in on these topics from their own kitchens on Zoom will be our kitchen couple, CFL football legend Mike Pinball Clemens and his wife Diane.
Recording artist Dan McCauley and his wife Danielle.
And youth and children's pastors Eric and Kara Maines.
Stay with us. We're about to get started.
If I'm in my house and I see a spider crawling around, I'm going to kill that spider. Not because I have a problem with spiders. In fact, they can actually kill worse insects. But my wife has a problem with spiders. She hates seeing them around. So out of my love for her, wanting my wife's life to be better, I'm going to kill that spider. But you know, every marriage also has spiritual spiders. I'm going to give you a couple examples. If my wife had been raised by an alcoholic father, she certainly wasn't. My earthly father-in-law was a wonderful man. I think even though biblically I wouldn't say there's an absolute prohibition on alcohol, just to kill that spider, I'd say, you know what? It's best that I don't drink at all, because if she smells that on my breath, it's going to bring back the memories of the horror of her childhood. Or maybe one night I have just a little too much. The speech starts to slur and she goes, here it is. I know this is what I lived with, and now I have it with my husband as well. I just would want her to feel safe and say, you know what? That's a spider to kill because of her past. Or let's say we were on our second marriage. Well, certainly not. Lisa and I have been married only to each other for 35 years. But let's say our first marriage had been destroyed by a husband who spent all of his time watching video games. That might be another spider I would decide needed to be killed, because I could imagine every time I picked up that game controller, she'd be saying, this is what I went through in my first marriage and it's starting again. And I could imagine that I might forget, say, honey, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And all of a sudden an hour's gone by and she's already asleep. I say, you know what, for her to feel safe and affirmed and cherished, that's not ethically wrong necessarily to play video games, but I'm going to kill that spider so that she feels close. The reason we need to kill these spiritual spiders is that we're marrying people with real hurts in their past, and we want to help them heal. My youngest daughter, Kelsey, was in 3 serious car accidents before she was 25 on the highway. None of them were her fault. And that means she couldn't be more careful as a driver. She feels uncomfortable on the driveway. Now, when she's riding next to me in the car, I'm driving like Grandpa Gary. I leave a lot of space in front of me. I'm not aggressive at all because I want her to feel safe driving with me. And I know from her history, she can't help being a little bit nervous because of the accidents she's been in. And as we go through life in our marriage, different spiders need to be killed. One thing, when Lisa started traveling with me more often, we became empty nesters, that I just found funny, is that she's such an extrovert. She's not focused on where our hotel room was or where our car was parked. And it was amazing to me that if I would let her get out of the elevator first, and if our room was left, she would always go right. In the parking garage, if our car was north, she would always go south. And I just thought half the time she would guess right, but it was almost like repelling magnets. She would always go the wrong way. And so one time, the elevator opened up, I let her go, and she went right, and I go, and we'd been there 2 nights, right, in our room, so I go, seriously? Well, that didn't make her feel cherished. I thought, okay, that didn't work so well. And so the next time when she did that, I just stayed where I was, and she walked about 20 yards down the hallway, saw I wasn't with her, and came back. That also didn't make her feel cherished, and I tried to present it as her problem. I said, look, If I say something, it makes you feel stupid. If I don't say anything, it makes you feel angry. Obviously, there's nothing I can do in this situation. And Lisa goes, Gary, it's so easy. It's so easy. When this happens, just say, this way, hun, with exactly that tone, this way, hun, and we'll both be so happy. Well, on the very next trip, I got to practice it. She went the wrong way. I said, this way, hon. She turned around and gave me this gorgeous smile, and we now laugh about it whenever it happens, and it does quite frequently. And so here's the point behind killing spiders. I want to destroy those things that are pushing us apart and learn how they can draw us together. And in every situation in your marriage, that's what you're looking at. How do we grow closer to each other instead of letting this situation in life drive us further apart? It's what it means to become one. Now, some of you might say, but why should I kill this spider? I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing that. And the Bible doesn't prohibit it. And I would say this. If you could know the experience of intimate oneness, what it truly means to be one and to have each other's back, it would be far more precious to you than any independent pursuit. Becoming one as a married couple is one of the greatest experiences that we can have in life. And so often it's those independent pursuits that we allow to destroy that marital intimacy. So let me ask you this. What are you willing to kill so that your marriage can live?
All right, we are all together in our respective kitchens, in our respective little boxes here on the screen. Ron and Ann here, and we've got Mike and Diane. We've got Eric and Kara. We've got Dan and Danielle. Welcome, guys.
You know, I love the illustration that Gary Thomas used about killing spiders because, you know, to one spouse, the spider might be this tiny little creature that you can barely see, but to the other spouse, that exact same spider might... Remember that movie, the alien movie, where the alien just comes out and he's got all
the
these
tentacles
reaching out, and he's so scary and he's huge, and those tentacles, a lot of them actually, for some of us, can reach back into our past and touch into some hurts that really we got to be careful about.
Well, one thought that came to my mind, let me just tell a little personal story here. So Ann's dad, growing up, the way Ann explains it, when she was a little girl, her dad really wanted to be Mario Andretti, like a race car driver. So when they were on the road, that was his mission, to go as fast as he could, and on a 2-lane highway, you know, he'll cut out and he'll cut back in just in time to not hit the other car coming the other way. And so that it was pretty scary for her.
Yeah.
And she was always tense and everything. And so here we are, we get married, and I'm just doing my drive, and I try to, you know, I go a little fast because you're feeling the need for speed maybe once in a while. And so I'm speeding up, and I'm passing people, and she seems to be freaking out over that. I don't understand what's going on. And she's saying, no, not so fast. No, don't do that. And she's really scared. And she explained to me, you know, eventually I caught on that this was something that from her past and her dad, and that was really, and she said, we're married now. If it's possible for you to just kind of drive nice and easy, so I'm calm, that would be great. And so that was kind of a spider that I had to kind of
and
check.
he's been really good at that too, because he knows that even now, we've been married 36 years, I still get nervous when it's time to pass a car or something, just because it goes back to, you know, flashbacks or whatever. But I have to realize too, there's an onus on me that he's not my dad. You know, he doesn't take the chances my dad used to take on the road, and I just have to trust him and kind of breathe and move on. So there's an onus on the other person's part too, not just the spider killer.
But I tried to be better that way. What about you guys?
Well, we've since we've been in quarantine, we've had to kill a few spiders, and one in particular, we were talking a couple months ago, and I mentioned to Mike that sometimes when we talk, when I'm trying to explain something or tell him something, he had the tendency to either cut me off or not hear me all the way. So, and I would get frustrated because I never finished what I was trying to say. And he didn't realize that he was doing that. And so he looked at me and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better about that. And I was like, that's all it took was for me to just tell you, right? But it's simple things that we'll hold on to them and not say anything. But if we just talk about it and mention it, then that other person has the opportunity to do better.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
that was actually a pretty easy spider to kill. They all aren't easy though, right? And so just want to just say to couples, if you've got some spiders in your life, many of them aren't as intimidating as they look, right? So you want to be bold enough to just go out there and try to tackle them, try to deal with those spiders in your life, and be proactive about it. There are some that are going to take time, right? But they can be done, and others are not as big a deal as they might seem.
And it's never bad, too, to seek help. Some spiders, you do need help, outside help, too. And that's where your spouse can come in and just be there, support you, walk with you through this journey, and realize that this spider is bringing the intimacy oneness that he was talking about. Instead of your separate journeys, it's nice to have someone there along the way, and spiders sometimes need outside help.
Yeah, and our spider story is just from early on in our marriage. We've been married for about 6 years now, but early on in the marriage, I wanted to make sure Kara felt that she was included and felt more at home in my family with my parents and my siblings. And so what I would do is, when there was only, like, we would go over to my parents' house for dinner, what I would do is at the dinner table where we sit, like, my dad would be at the head of the table, and there would be only 3 of us left, an odd number, so there's always going to be an odd man out. And so I would make sure that Kara got the in seat, where there's someone in front of her, someone to her left, someone to her right, and I'll take the odd man out seat because I want her just to make sure she feels included. And so I could, maybe that's more of a preemptive spider strike, but I just wanted to do that for her, to make sure that she feels included and that her life can be better.
So good. You know, there was a phrase growing up that I can remember. I can remember my younger brother saying it, and even my own kids now. And it says this, that's a YP, not an MP. And what that stands for is, that's a your problem, not a my problem. But really that idea is just selfish. And what we need as a married couple is, we need to kill that idea, and we need to make it an OP, an our problem. So whatever, as we're one, whatever he's going through, I'm going through it with him, and I'm journeying through it with him. Whatever I'm going through, man, I can tell you there's things I've had to journey through that he made it his problem, and he was invested, and that's what we need to do. And I love what you said, Eric, too. You make, as a couple, you make it your own issue to face together. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're helping your spouse, you're helping yourself, because you are one.
Happy wife, happy life,
That's
right?
true, and it works both ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It just doesn't rhyme with husband.
no, it doesn't rhyme with husband, so we say it the one way, right? But I mean, if you bring student debt into a marriage or something, it's not just, well, it's your problem to figure out how to, your finances are one, you are one, it's together, it's your debt, and it's similar to that. It's the things we bring in, we work through them together, and you know what? We're gonna be better at tackling those together, because we have our own blind spots, but that our spouse was able to see, the way out that we maybe couldn't see, and can bring their strengths to the table that we probably don't even have to get out of there. So. And
then it becomes an OV, our victory.
Oh, did you? Wow.
That was on.
Good. All right.
This is all really good. Thank you, everybody, for giving us your wisdom. It's good stuff.
So don't go away. We will be back with more Better Us.
The team is one. And if the team is one, and you and I are on the same team, and the team is one, it means that I am you and you are me. So when I talk about you, I talk about me. When I tear you down, I tear me down. When I build you up, I build me up.
Exciting news! Better Us is now on YouTube. You can watch what you missed or re-watch and share segments you love whenever you want.
Just search A Better Us TV on YouTube and you'll find our channel full of great marriage encouragement, ready and waiting for you.
And be sure to click subscribe and ring that bell for notifications so you'll always get the latest and greatest marriage content
As we continue to upload more A Better Us videos
all the time.
Hey guys, Dave and Ashley Willis here with Marriage Today, and we want to talk to you real quick about what is probably the most controversial and misunderstood biblical teaching about marriage, and it is submission. And when we say submission, we're not talking about like the kinky 50 Shades of Grey, tie each other up kind of submission. Yeah. If you clicked on this because you thought it was that, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but don't click off, because I think understanding this concept could be revolutionary in your marriage and the communication in your marriage.
Right, we're talking about these verses in Ephesians where it talks about specifically, it says, wives, submit to your husbands.
Right.
And, and that really has gotten a bad rap, especially in our culture. We have this Me Too movement going on where women felt like they've been kind of abused emotionally, physically, sometimes by men. And so even in Christian circles, this is seen as something very negative. And I think that some married couples today, they think that, is that even a concept that we need to adopt because it's so oppressive? But really, when you really read those verses in Ephesians, it's not oppressive, is it, sweetie?
No, it's really not at all. It starts out with saying, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And so it begins with this mutual submission to Jesus as the head of the marriage. We think that marriage should look like, kind of like a husband and wife are two wings on the same bird, and Christ is the head. He's the one that's steering the ship and directing the course. And if the husband and wife will work together in partnership, that marriage will soar. Now, there's certainly places where there's a unique responsibility placed on men. Right. Husbands, we're gonna have to give an account on a unique level of how we led and how we served our family, the way that Christ loved his church, willing to give our lives for her. And right. Ladies, we need respect in that, which is kind of maybe the best modern word for submission is just simply respect, affirmation in what your husband is doing. But for submission to work the way we've understood it, it can never be one spouse trying to hold the other one down, one spouse always demanding his way, or using this as some kind of a trump card to always bully the other spouse. That is not what this is. Jesus is our example, and he was so full of humility, and he was so full of love. And he says, now that's what I'm calling you to do.
Exactly. And the bottom line is both husbands and wives need love and respect. And that's essentially what this is talking about here. Like you said, respect is kind of another word for submission. And it's so cool because not only is that in the Bible, but there has been research that has kind of looked at the needs of men and women. And over this research, it said that, men's primary need is to be respected, in their marriage, and the woman's primary need is to be loved. And so I find it no coincidence that in the Word, it talks about how wives, encourages wives, respect your husband. Even when he maybe isn't being respectable, try to find those things you can respect and show him respect. And he kind of rises to that occasion. And in the same way, husbands, love your wives, adore your wives, treasure her. And when we do those things, we're serving one another. That's right. And it always, submission has to start with us submitting our hearts to Christ. First and foremost. And when we do that, we mutually submit to him and mutually submit to one another out of reverence for him, then we're going to have an awesome marriage.
All right, well, we are back in our kitchens with our kitchen couples. Great to see everyone again. And this topic, Dave and Ashley, it can be a bit of a hornet's nest because, as they said, it's a touchy subject.
It is a touchy
subject. This idea
of
submission, because we can often get the biblical idea of submission can be skewed. Like the men sometimes think it means you have to be the dominant one, you have to be the boss, you have to have everyone else in the home under your thumb. But that's not what it is at all, and I'm glad they explained that.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad that Ashley brought up about the whole Me Too movement because there is a lot of validity there. There are a lot of women who have been abused, emotionally, psychologically, physically, of course. And so those kinds of things need to be called out and they need to be held accountable. But in the marriage relationship, the whole submission thing, I love that they started first and foremost, that first we submit to Jesus, to God. First and foremost, as a couple, as individuals, we submit to him. And then we go into how he is leading us to have our roles in the family. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that was honestly, I know that's a touchy subject. I thought that was one of the best teachings or explanations in a short time on those verses that I've ever heard. I thought it was really, really well done. I loved the explanation or the example of the bird, that Christ is the head and there's those two wings, and even if you feel like your marriage is a turkey right now, like having both of those wings in play really helps you get off the ground and makes all the difference. And that submission thing, as they said, it's starting off with submit to one another. It's not just a one-way submission, but it's that love and respect.
Yeah, this whole topic kind of does ruffle our feathers and make us a little squirmy, but they did such a great job of making it, they brought it to modern day with the word respect. And let me paint a picture of something I heard a while ago that really helped me understand. Picture Dan and I trying to go through a doorway together, like the threshold of a door, and we both want to get there first. And if we wanted our own way, we would be like bumping shoulders, and it just wouldn't work. We'd bump into the wall. But when the Bible says, wives, submit to your husbands, it's kind of like letting the husband, giving him room to lead the way. But a gentleman, what does he do? On a date, this guy loves me. He's supposed to love his wife. What does he do? He says, after you. And he allows the wife to go through. So it's more of relinquishing our own way to make room for one another. And then something just supernatural happens where we both feel like we've won and we can both go through together. We make room for each other. So it's not as scary when you think of it that way.
No, and that's why I loved how they said respect too, because it is about respecting one another. You're in this together. You're navigating this together. You're a team. And just finding out the roles that God has for both of you and empowering each other in what God has for both of you and as a couple, and just submitting to what he has for you.
Absolutely.
I love when they say the man wants more respect and the woman wants more love. And that's so true. And I know with us, Mike he calls me his bride, right? When he introduced me to people, I'm his bride. And he always find a way to lift me up when we're with people. And most importantly, when we're not around people, he always finds the way to lift me up. And for him, I try to respect him and honor him and just say, babe, you know what? You are such a good dad. You're such a good husband. Oh, that speech you gave was so wonderful. Just giving him that honor and respect and just letting him know how much I love him. And when you just do this for one another, when you continue to lift each other up each and every day, then your marriage just tends to just grow and grow and grow and get stronger.
My ego does need that. So I'm so grateful for her. But I actually use this and similar verses for our football team to describe a team. The family was the first team ever, right? And so in that, we say the team is one. And if a team is one, and you and I are on the same team, and the team is one, it means that I am you and you are me. So when I talk about you, I talk about me. When I tear you down, I tear me down. When I build you up, I build me up. It is that balance is really what this verse is referring to, the balance between the two, that love has this balance, oneness has this balance, this thing that we complement each other. And so that whole idea of being complementary is, I think, what's most important.
That's so good.
Well said.
Some people think, well, isn't the man supposed to be the head, the leader in the house? And there is a place for that. But the idea of leadership, as Jesus would teach it, as the Apostle Paul said, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So it's okay to be leader, nothing wrong with that, as long as you're a sacrificial servant leader who nourishes and cherishes his wife. You don't mind hanging out with a leader like that. And so it's a really different thing, and it's this love and respect thing. And so it's such an important topic, and I'm glad we tackled it here on A Better Us. And yeah, thanks so much, guys, for doing that. And we'll be back with some closing thoughts here for A Better Us.
So stay with us.
Don't go away.
Missed an episode of A Better Us? No problem. Visit abetterus.tv and click watch, where you can enjoy past episodes and even share them with your friends. Each episode is packed with practical advice to help you and your relationship become a better us. While you're there, click subscribe to receive your free weekly Marriage Moment email. Also like us on Facebook to receive program previews, news about upcoming events, and inspirational quotes. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
You know, I love this question because it really doesn't matter how long you've been married. After a while, you feel like, hey, where's the love and feelings, right?
Well, there's a natural ebb and flow to love. We don't have full throttle passion every day.
And you're not designed to. In fact, here's what we know from research. Passion is really about a third of romantic love, and that's what people really mean by we've kind of lost that love and feeling. And but here's a quick tip. And you've heard this before, but it's a good reminder, and that is to date your spouse. You're going, yeah, I heard that before, but here's what the challenge is. Do this with some novelty. Do this in a way that you haven't done it before.
Yeah, the novelty is key, because that's what brings back that in love feeling. It kind of ignites chemistry. What do we mean by novelty? All that means is get out of your routine together.
Yeah.
Do something fresh, something new. And the experience of sharing that out-of-the-box thing creates that chemistry again, and you will love it.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with a movie and dinner. Fantastic. But try something that you haven't done for a long time or maybe ever on a date night. Do something novel. And here's why. You get a brain shower of the same kind of neurochemicals that you had when you were first falling in love.
Yes.
It really is true. So enjoy.
Well, it's been a great program, and we've covered some meaningful ground, and I trust that you've discovered some helpful takeaways for your marriage. I know we did.
Actually, Gary Thomas's teaching on killing spiders is one of my favorites of his. I think I like it so much because it's all about prioritizing our spouse's needs, even at the expense of our own desires, our own comfort. It's about letting your husband or wife know that there is absolutely nothing on earth more important than what the two of you are building together. And it goes both ways.
That's for sure. Because love is not just a feeling, it's an action. And one of the most significant actions is putting your spouse's needs before your own. Actually, that sounds a lot like Jesus, doesn't it? Because the Bible says that while we were still sinners, Jesus died for us. That's sacrifice, even when we don't deserve it.
That's true. It's the kind of unconditional love that the Bible challenges us to show to our spouse. It's love not based on our feelings. And the best place to start in showing love like Jesus did is in having a personal relationship with Him.
Right. If that concept is new to you, we'd love to talk with you about it. Or maybe you just need someone to pray with you about whatever it is you're currently going through.
Our prayer line is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's right there on your screen. Connecting with God in a personal way will make a huge difference in your life and in your marriage.
Well, thanks again for tuning in. We're so glad you joined us.
And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us.
Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.